Last week, I made a video about Sinners, and I felt a little bad because I really enjoyed that movie, but I spent a lot of the video pointing out my criticisms, which I still think are valid. And this week, I'm gonna feel even worse, because Weapons is a movie I also quite enjoyed, but I actually have more problems with. I think Weapons has a ton of stuff going for it, and it was one of the most entertaining movies of the year so far. But it's also a frustrating movie for me, because I think it doesn't take advantage of all the potential its premise and its style presents. Now, this is a criticism that has drawn some ire when I spoke about it on my podcast, the Poorly Planned Podcast, linked down below. So today, I wanted to lay out in detail my problems with Weapons, as well as what I think it does really well. Spoilers ahead, let's get into it. Firstly, what I liked. I love Zach Cregger's previous film Barbarian, and some of what I thought made that film so great comes back here. There are moments that are genuinely very creepy, the lady with the scissors, scary stuff. The performances are also fantastic here, particularly Julia Garner in the main part. It's a very well shot film as well, and like Barbarian, it manages to integrate comedy well into the otherwise bleak tone. I know for some that ending broke their immersion a bit, but I thought it was both really funny and a great way to counteract how grim a lot of the rest of the film had been. And above all, I enjoyed watching it. I want to stress that before I dive into my complaints, it's a film I'd absolutely watch again. I think it's fun, intense, and just an entertaining movie. Enough glaze though, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this film and some of my beefs. Starting with the chapter character perspective style. I think this is a super cool idea for a horror film. It's been done to great effect in non-horror films, and even Barbarian had elements like this, of retelling the story from different perspectives to add context and tension. I'm here for it. And to some degree, it adds to the mystery of the film, but ultimately, I think the film doesn't utilize such a concept to its advantage as much as it could have. And it's a concept that could have made for an incredibly dramatic film with crazy reveals that ultimately doesn't change the story that much from what it would have been if it had been told normally. Part of the appeal of doing this kind of thing for a mystery film is that it can either help you piece together what's happening or divert your attention. It can gradually eliminate suspects in an exciting way, sort of like a murder mystery. When this film starts, all the kids disappear, everyone's a suspect. Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, the kid, even Alden Ehrenreich or Benedict Wong. So you'd think the film telling the story from their individual perspectives could lead you to thinking maybe it's this person, oh no, maybe it's that person, but the film doesn't really do that. In the first story, within the first 20 minutes of the film, we see the kid run up to the house, and the door creepily opens and closes, and the house basically swallows him up. And immediately at that point I thought, okay, so it has to do with the kid, his family, his house, which immediately takes a lot away from the mystery. Then you see the seemingly dead parents on the couch, we see the creepy lady come out of the house. So off the bat with the first story, while of course it's still some mystery, we've got a pretty good idea it doesn't really involve any of these characters. It's to do with the house and the kid and his family. And this isn't even something that's subverted later on, that's just how it is. This plays into two gripes of mine. One, the reveal in general throughout the film is not very dramatic. I'm not saying you have to have the villain turn around in a musical Sting plays or whatever, but for a film where you have a central mystery, the fact that there isn't really a shocking moment where you realize what's happening, but by the time it's revealed, you've already just sort of figured it out, it just makes it a bit underwhelming. Like, you already know it has something to do with the house and the kid, and from Benedict Wong doing the run, you can kind of tell it's someone mind controlling them, and halfway through we know the kids are in the basement, and as soon as they introduce the witch woman, who looks insane, which is still just a little over halfway through the film by the way, the gig's up. You know it's her. I just feel like it's a missed opportunity to not have any really shocking moments and just to have the reveal kind of leaking throughout the story and you've kind of figured it out already halfway through. And the other gripe I have with the reveal is that it was actually magic the whole time is not a very interesting reveal. This is a problem a lot of films with great setups have. The payoff is usually not going to be as interesting as the setup, but one exception to this is Zach Cregger's last movie, Barbarian. That movie has a crazy setup. What the hell is going on under this house? And then the reveal is way crazier and more fucked up. Here, it's such a great premise, why'd all these kids run away, and the reveal that a witch made them do it, it's just kind of lame. It's a get out of jail free card. It's like if you were trying to solve a murder mystery, looking at all the clues and whatnot, and then the answer was it was magic. And on the murder mystery thing, again, a bit of a waste of the perspective thing. The reveal that essentially whodunit is a totally different character from any of the ones who we've been seeing the perspective of feels a little like a cheat, I guess. Like when you figure out what happened in a mystery and the answer was right there the whole time, that's often a very shocking and compelling reveal. But to have it be someone who just shows up halfway through the movie who wasn't in the first half, I don't know, I felt a little cheated. I know the point of a movie is not trying to figure out what happened, but that's a little bit of the point of a movie like this. And so to have it be something you just didn't know about, I don't know. kinda lame. And speaking of not contributing that much to the story, these different POV stories are definitely tricky to write because you have to basically tell the same story again without it getting repetitive, and this movie does not always succeed in that. There are some parts of this film that feel a little redundant or clunky, and frankly, a little pointless. The cop and the tweaker storyline. I like both these actors, there are some kind of funny moments, the basement reveal is pretty creepy, but in the Venn diagram of what these stories cover, there's quite a bit of crossover. It does feel like you're kind of seeing the same thing for a second time, in parts. And also, what do they really add to the overall story? These characters just kind of end up being heavies in the final fight. Is there a thematic connection? I guess. There's some stuff about police violence and drug use, and that could tie into the whole school shooting undertones and modern America vibe of it all. But in terms of the actual plot and mystery, what do these really add? They can be well done just as individual segments, but for a script with this style, you really want each segment to be airtight and interconnected. This web of stories all coming together really cleverly. And here, there is some dead air. It feels more like extra flavor. And extra flavor can be nice, but in the best version of a script like this, everything would be interesting and contribute to the main story. And on kind of pointless time filling, and this ties into having figured out the entire mystery already, the entire final segment with the kid feels quite redundant because by the time it starts, you know everything that's happened. If you're watching the movie, I feel like you've pretty easily pieced together this witch mind controls people, she mind controlled the kids in the class, he went and got stuff from the kids or their cubbies or whatever. Like, there are reveals about the story, for sure, but there are parts of that segment that are pretty extended that just show things that from second one of that storyline starting, you've already worked out that's how that happened. Again, it's not terrible at all, it's just not airtight. Now, my other complaint with the film is a bit smaller in scale, but still relevant, I think. And that is that for a horror film, some of these scares are either not that scary or are kind of fraudulent. Now, what do I mean by fraudulent scares? How can a scare be fraudulent? Well, these two jump scares in the dreams. They are scary, for sure. They maybe jump. But in terms of the actual logistics of them being there, I don't think it makes much sense. And that annoys me a little, because I already don't like jump scares, but if they're also not justified in the story, then I got a problem. If I miss something, do let me know down below. But why do Julia Garner and Josh Brolin see the witch woman in their dreams? She isn't controlling them, she's never met them, and it's not like she's infiltrating their dreams to haunt them or whatever, because she very explicitly does not want anyone to know she's around. So why do they see her? I guess the answer is magic, like she's using witch magic and they're in the general vicinity, so that seeps into their dreams. But again, how lame of an answer is that to a mystery question? Like, again, when you're trying to figure out the mystery in a story, you're looking at all the clues and all the information, and if it's just there to be scary, and if it doesn't actually make sense or contribute to the reveal, then yeah, that's kind of annoying, and a little bit lazy. Also, the giant gun. Okay, this is not a hill I will die on. I recognize this is more of a personal complaint. If you think this is super cool and mysterious and deep, okay, fair enough. I personally think it's kind of goofy to throw something in like this and have it not mean anything for the actual mystery. And I'm not one of those people who's all about plot and I don't like vibes at all. I love vibes. I love symbolism. I love all the kind of stuff you can do with film. And symbolically, is this tying into that underlying school shooting theme the film possibly has? Maybe, but again, this is a mystery film. You're trying to put together all the clues. So to have something that seems like a huge, important detail that actually is not relevant to the plot, and it's not even a red herring or anything, it's just something the director thought would be cool, I think that's kind of goofy. You can have cool vibes and visuals and symbolism, but they should tie into things, especially for this kind of movie. Like, you're not making a David Lynch movie. You're not making a surreal audiovisual experience. Basically, everything else here is meant to point us in the direction of what the mystery is. Even the fraudulent jump scares, to some extent. And this is just a random thing. If Zack Snyder, or someone who's known for just doing things because they're visually cool, did this kind of thing, everyone would make fun of it. That's all I'm saying. And a last point that is also totally subjective. Considering Barbarian scared the shit out of me, this was not that scary. Creepy in moments for sure, but I never felt genuinely freaked out like I did watching Barbarian. The running is not very scary. It looks kind of silly. The bulging bloody eyes feels like it's trying too hard. Like, it looks a bit like a horror movie Snapchat filter. Also, these weaponized people are not that effective. Like, the kids at the end, yes, they are effective. But for the rest of the movie, these weapon people seem pretty easy to hold back. Doesn't seem that deep, to be honest. If anything, it's a bit inconsistent, because sometimes they are very brutal, like in the Benedict Wong husband scene, or at the end. And then sometimes they are pretty ineffective. And it doesn't seem that worrying that they're coming for you. And on that final fight, it just isn't very scary. It's kind of a generic action horror beat 'em up. I like how dark the final line is, how some of the kids have even started talking, like the long-lasting repercussions of this stuff. I thought that was interesting. And again, if the film is sort of meant to be about school shootings, that adds to that. But I'm talking about the actual climactic final fight. Not very frightening, just sort of generic. So look, do I want to make a habit of shitting on good movies? No, because this is an original movie, it's well made, I'm glad it made money and that it was successful. There are plenty of way worse movies out there to poke holes in and make fun of, some of which I might get to soon, who knows. But at the same time, I have these standards that I do like to hold movies to, even the good ones. I don't think you should just roll over because a movie is pretty good if there are pretty noticeable problems with it. I think it's worth talking about. And honestly, I think those are some of the most interesting movies to discuss. I feel like one can learn a lot from those kind of discussions. And also then, when a really spectacular, once-in-a-lifetime movie comes out, it doesn't mean as much when it actually deserves the praise of being genius and brilliantly thought out if one says that about everything. That might not be. That all said, I still like this movie. If you loved it, that's great, but I think my friend who I saw it with summed it up well when we were driving home from the cinema, where we had both enjoyed it, but neither of us were raving about it, and he just went, well, it seemed like the kind of movie that would get good reviews. And yeah, a little like some other movies, it has the trappings of a really smart movie, but when you dig into it, maybe it doesn't really utilize them as well as it could have. That's just my take though. Feel free to disagree down below. I'm sure some of you will, and that's great. So those are my thoughts on Weapons. What did you think of it? Let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comments. While you're at it, be sure to like this video, check out my movie podcast, The Poorly Planned Podcast, check out my Instagram at BHL_Hudson, my Letterboxd at RealBHLHudson, and subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.